One. Hello everyone, my name is Kai. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm joined with Alex Jiang, who will be talking about his product management experience at Databricks. He is a returning full-time product manager there, and he's also a very good friend of mine, so welcome.
Thank you, Kai. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's do this. So this is the video roadmap. We'll go through our introductions, and then we'll be talking about what is Databricks. We'll also be covering his experience doing Wharton, business analytics, and computer science at UPenn. After that, we'll be going to his dance experience, doing a little how-to tutorial on how to do dance, and then also doing discussions on like why you chose product management, what are the different like subcategories of product management, and the recruitment process at like a firm like Databricks or other similar big data companies. Then we'll also be touching on your experience doing PMing at Databricks, and then your thoughts on big data, tech, and AI as a whole. And then we'll end it with closing thoughts and advice to you, the viewer.
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay, so I'll do a brief introduction. My name is Kai. I'm a senior here at Wharton studying finance and computer science. For spring break of next year, I'll be going to Cotopaxi in Ecuador and doing an expedition trek between two volcanoes, Cotopaxi and Antisana.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it'll be super sick, high altitude, and lots of trekking.
Damn, I wish I could join you. But hey everyone, my name is Alex. I'm a student at Penn studying both business and computer science. And this spring break, which is in a week, I'll be going to Portugal and Spain with a lot of people in my dance team and also other friends.
Can you explain this photo here of you?
Yeah, so this is from a trip that me and my buddy Matt did last winter break. We went to Utah and we stumbled upon the Bonneville Salt Flats, which is this super flat area of land where you can drive as fast as you want. So we drove up to 140 miles an hour on this, and it was such a good time. We had the roof open and everything, head sticking out. It was great. Highly recommend it.
Well, that's sick. How much should I do that then?
You would love it.
Okay. Now we'll go into what is Databricks. So like, from what I know, it's like a big data / AI company / like, I don't know, like data storage, data warehouse sort of thing. So like MongoDB-esque, but also like Snowflake and Palantir. But basically, I don't know what it is at all. And I wanted to ask you, like, what is Databricks? And can you explain to me what every single little image here is?
Oh God, I'll do my best. So the short answer to that is Databricks is huge. They do so many different things. And me and my co-interns joke about this often. When people ask us what is Databricks, we often don't have a good answer at all because their scope is so broad. But I guess if I were to summarize it in just a sentence or two, I would say that it is a cloud platform that lets companies analyze and process data while also allowing them to build AI applications off the data. So the two main areas of focus are data, everything related to data, processing, streaming, storing data, as well as AI, which is what they've ventured into more recently given industry trends. Okay. So the diagram you have here is a brief overview of everything that they do. I guess something to highlight is, so you have people on the left-hand side. So Databricks is a all-in-one platform, so it's meant for a variety of different user personas, including data scientists, data engineers, and also pure business people. So it doesn't matter what level of experience you have, Databricks has some sort of interface for anyone to ask questions to their data. So if you're a business analyst, you could go in Databricks and ask, hey, what is the trend of my data in the past 12 months? And it'll give you an answer. And if you're a more experienced data analyst who can write SQL queries, you can also do that directly within the platform.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then when you mention like the AI component, is that like a consulting service where it's like, oh, here's all my Databricks, and now like can you make me a recommendation on how to proceed in the future? Like does Databricks also offer the consulting part, or is that AI part of like the software that's given?
Primarily it's the software that we offer. So you can run any of the major LLMs directly on the Databricks platform, and you can also fine-tune these LLM models on your own data. So it lets you create AI applications that are tailored to your own data set. That's the main focus, but there are also people who work in field engineering who can create custom solutions for companies, but that's not the main focus. It's more
Gotcha.
so the applications that Databricks has.
Gotcha. Cool. And then now we'll be touching on Alex's Wharton and engineering experience. Can you tell me about like how did you come to pursue Wharton in computer science, and like what did you like start off studying as, and explain that transition?
So I actually applied as a mechanical engineering major, and that was my dream at the time. I thought it was, at least. And then I got into my sophomore year, fall semester, where I realized I didn't like the engineering at all. So I took this one class called Fluids. I thought it was extremely unintuitive and close to impossible, and also just didn't really like the other classes I was taking too. So that was a huge sign that I should probably try studying something else. Because in high school I did a lot of computer science, and that was always in the back of my mind. But the reason why I chose mechanical engineering was because I thought that I could learn CS outside of school. But because mechanical engineering is so hands-on, I thought this would be my only chance to learn it. But sophomore fall taught me that I don't actually like it. And after calling a lot of upperclassmen, asking them for advice, they all told me I should switch. And in my gut, I also knew I wanted to switch as well. So I ended up switching to computer science, and at the same time, I applied for a dual degree within Wharton, and I ended up getting that. And because I can't say no, I decided to do it. Because I thought it'd be nice to have like the best of both worlds. Wharton mostly for soft skills, and the CS part for more technical skills.
Gotcha. And if you did continue mechanical engineering, like where would you be now? Like what would you want to do? Like rockets or cars? Or...
I would have wanted to do cars. I think I had an obsession with autonomous vehicles back in high school because I did a research project similar to that, or in that area. And I was thinking about doing a robotics master's too. So I probably would have been doing the mechanical engineering undergrad and the robo masters if I didn't switch over to CS.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then can you also talk about what you're studying within the Wharton School?
Yeah, I'm studying business analytics, which is sort of a catch-all for everything business related. It's a joint concentration between statistics and OID, which is operations and information decisions. I don't really know the acronym, but it's a combination of the two. So it's a very broad discipline that covers all areas of business.
Yeah, I feel like that's like very much aligning with Databricks as well. Business and analytics. So like...
Yeah. So that's exactly why I decided to study it, actually.
Yeah. And then also like what else are you involved in at Penn?
So my main involvement right now is dance. I was in other academic clubs earlier, but I dropped a lot of them. So one example is I was doing this engineering consulting club. I was also part of this engineering student government organization. But for my senior year, I'm just involved in 2 dance teams.
Gotcha. And then also like just the whole scope of college, like what was that experience like for you? Was it like a time of you like growing into yourself, like figuring out things like what you liked or disliked, or like what was the quintessential college experience for you?
The biggest thing was just trying new things. So dance was the first example of that. I never done dance before, and then my first week of college, my friend and I decided to audition for a dance team, and we ended up getting in. And since then, I've been very, very involved in dance. Also, just trying to put myself out there, meet new people, do a lot of things that I haven't done before. I started traveling a lot more. So I do think I've grown a lot and have found myself more, but that's an ongoing process, obviously, as I'm only 22 years old.
Yeah. Cool. And then now we'll be doing a little dance tutorial. We can do it right here if you want, or we can just talk about it.
We could talk about, we could do it later also.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it later. We'll do it later.
A public place, so.
Yeah. I think I chose the wrong spot to do this video.
It's okay.
But this is a video of Alex dancing, and I want you to like talk me through like scene by scene, step by step of like what you're doing. So I'm
sure. I'll just give context. So this was a workshop that I did last year. It was my very first workshop. So what that essentially is I create choreography and then I teach it to a bunch of people who attend the workshop, and at the end everyone performs it and demonstrates it. This was just like a for fun thing at the end of finals week.
So like if you're watching this and you're the viewer, you have to follow us along as we talk about the video, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's play it.
I guess, how can I walk this through? So I'm doing a combination of trying to hit moves on certain lyrics. So if you go like to the first part, it says like, I'll freak you right I will. So on right I will, I do like shoulder turns, and then keep playing it. Wait. Yeah, like right I will, and then this one I try to like make it more lyrical. So on I will, I like put my hands out and I grab in, like I will do something.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a lot of, I guess, creativity and your own interpretation of the songs. So a lot of people, they choreo to just the beats or the counts of the song. Other people like doing the lyrics, and I try to do a combination of both. Because in the past, I used to only do the lyrics, and I felt that it's kind of too beginner, and I wanted to challenge myself a little bit. So I guess one example of that is there's my fault. There's this one part of the song where there's like this clicking sound. Nope, not that. Oh yeah, right here. It's like a
Okay, yeah.
And on that, oh my god, I keep doing the same shit. Yeah, that's when I like kind of shake my body to match I like the musical instruments, and not just the lyrics.
So that's called the choreo then, or is that still lyric?
Oh, so all of this is just choreography. Choreography is just making moves to a song.
Okay.
But there's different ways you can approach it. You
Yeah.
can either listen to the music and the beats and the drums, or you can do the lyrics, or a combination of both. And most of the time for more advanced choreographers, they do a combination of both. And I was trying to, I guess, get out of my comfort zone and try to do that more. Because before I'd always do the lyrics. And sometimes it's very corny.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fire. Because we're in a public place, we won't do a dance tutorial like right now. But I was wondering, why did you choose product management instead of like other typical fields that people go into, like software engineering, just like data, big data stuff, consulting, banking, or quant? Like, why product management in particular?
Yeah, so I don't know. One thing that I wanted for my career was to be both technical and also have a lot of leadership opportunities and be a people person at the same time. And I didn't really think that there was a job for that, because typically you'd have to get promoted and be a manager to get to that point. But during my sophomore year, I found out about product management through a friend. And the more I looked into it, the more interesting that it seemed, because it had the technical element that's found in jobs like SWE, where you're working with a lot of code and software engineering principles. But at the same time, a big responsibility that you have is speaking to customers and figuring out what they want, and also using your creativity to come up with high-level solutions to problems. So it captured the problem-solving technical aspect that I wanted out of my career, but at the same time, it wasn't just a pure like code monkey role where I just work all day and not really speak to anyone. There's a lot of conversations involved, and I think during my internship, around 25% to half of my time was spent just talking to people and figuring out what they wanted me to build for them.
So like when you say like you're talking to people, you're talking to, I guess, the coding team and like the software engineers, but also like leadership
customers.
Customers.
Yeah, and also leadership. We'd have a lot of conversations with leadership about the direction that we wanted to head in. So it's a very, very well-rounded role where you have to do a bunch of different disciplines. I think the major disciplines are, I guess, technology / SWE, marketing, and then business. Yeah, just general business.
Okay, so like, were you a PM within the tech, or were you like a tech PM or like a business PM, or were you like marketing PM?
So I think my role was more on the tech side, because I was working with something on the back end. I was working with like a data storage format, which is very, very technical.
Yeah.
So my responsibility was less so coming up with feature ideas or making an application look better, making the user interface look better. It was more so on how can we optimize the algorithms that we have for storing data and processing data. So mine was definitely more technical, but in the previous PM internship that I did, it was quite the opposite, where it was much more user experience oriented and high level. Gotcha. I can go into that a little bit later.
Yeah, definitely. And then also I want you to touch upon like the role, like there's like different product management roles. Like there's APM, TPM, technical product manager. Like how did you come to choose like what type of PM you wanted to do, and can you describe the differences between them all?
Got it. So APM in my case actually stands for Associate Product Manager.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Not Agile Project Management.
I pulled this off of the chat.
This is the first time I've actually seen that. But I think the main difference between a product manager and a project manager is how technical your scope is. So traditionally, project or program management is more to do so with delivery, scheduling, execution, whereas product is more about the idea. So I think there is much more emphasis on being creative and coming up with problems or coming up with solutions to solve for problems. Whereas for program management, you're given a project already and you just have to allocate the resources in order to make that happen.
And like execute it. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's my understanding of it. I've never worked a project or program management role, but when doing research for what career I wanted to choose, that's what I extracted from it.
Okay. So like to me, like project management sounds like internal consulting projects where it's like, oh, the company gives you like a project and you just have to like see it through and then
Yeah. I think that's a
from
good way
point
to
to point
describe
B.
it.
And then while product management is just like you're put in to like oversee something that's like growing and it's like an ongoing process and you're there to like help and like communicate.
Typically,
different
you're assigned a
things.
specific product that the company already has, and
Yeah.
your goal is to add new features to it. But sometimes if you're more high up, your job could be to come up with new products altogether.
Okay.
So more solutions that customers can use.
Okay, so are you like then like typically working only on one product the entire time, or can you also like go between different teams and like work on little products for all of them, or I don't know.
I think it depends on what level you are. As an entry level or as an intern, you basically have one primary feature or one product that you're working on. But as you level up and you become a manager, you oversee multiple different teams that all have their own features or products.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it all depends on what level you're at. But typically you stay within the same discipline just so you can be a specialized person. Because if you're specialized, then you have more knowledge and you can come up with more nuanced or creative solutions to problems. Whereas if you're just a generalist, you probably wouldn't have much knowledge to add to all of the different areas you oversee because you're spread so thin.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Cool. And then now I was wondering, like, what was the recruitment process like for you? Let's say like getting a role at Databricks, and what does Databricks look for in a PM candidate?
Yeah, so the recruitment process was 2 rounds of interviews. There was a 45-minute first round, followed by a take-home assignment. And then after the take-home assignment, there was a super day with 2 interviews, I believe. One interview was about the take-home that I did, and the other one was just a general behavioral interview. And then after that, I think I heard back 2 weeks later. But between applying and getting my first round, I had to wait 2 months, which is probably not very typical. So overall, the process was around 3 months. But I've heard of people where it only took 1 or 2 months overall.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty variable, I'd say.
And like, what was Databricks looking for in a candidate? Like what made you stand out, would you say?
I think Databricks likes very well-rounded PM candidates. So I think they have a slight bias towards people who are studying a discipline in addition to computer science, because while they do really care about technical expertise and understanding software, they want people who are good at communicating with others and also seeing things from the business perspective. Because right now they're in a very fast growth stage, and they need people to make a lot of good business decisions to advance their company forward. Yeah, that's my best guess. Obviously, I don't know what the recruiters specifically look for, but that is my guess.
Do you think your dance experience helped in
Honestly, maybe, because during the behavioral interview, I think my interviewer asked, what is something you're passionate about, or what are your hobbies? And we'd have a quick side conversation about dance. I think that brings more personality into the picture. But that goes for any sort of hobby, so it doesn't have to just be dance. I'm sure if people were into singing, that would also be a nice personality thing to add.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Gotcha. And then like, I guess like for like the like in general, like how does someone tailor their application to target like big data companies or like AI companies like Databricks, Palantir, Snowflake, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think a big thing is the classes you take and the projects that you do. So I took multiple data and machine learning courses before I applied, and I also did projects from each of them that I put on my resume. I also had a lot of leadership experience with engineering organizations, and for product managers, I think that matters. The fact that you can lead a team and have a managerial role and have a communicative role. Maybe that matters less so for applying for just a SWE job, but I think that's especially important for a PM role at a data and AI company. Yeah. So just showing that you have knowledge within data and AI, that you have past experiences with it, whether it's classes, projects, or both.
Okay, like know how to like speak upon and like
Yeah.
give like basically like good high level overviews.
One thing I forgot to mention was at my sophomore year internship, I was a PM working on the data and AI team at a startup. So I think that definitely helped. The fact that it was literally the data and AI team at this robotics company.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that just like directly did that transfer over a lot of like skills, or was that just good for the application part?
I think some skills were very useful because I learned about a lot of the different data vendors out there. Like I learned about what MongoDB does. I learned about Google BigQuery, things like that. And that knowledge was useful during my interview because during my interviewer actually grilled me a lot about what I did and my industry knowledge overall. So having those experiences definitely helped me answer a lot of those questions.
Gotcha.
To understand what the data space looks like.
Yeah, I know someone at Google BigQuery, and
really?
he mentioned how Databricks was like a big competitor.
Oh yeah, we clash a little bit.
So I was wondering, like, are there any like specific resources that you would like recommend people to use to prep for a product management role, or like a book, or like a course, or like a Khan Academy if they had something like that?
I think the traditional advice is reading this book called Cracking the PM Interview, and also doing a bunch of mocks with productmanagementexercises.com. And that website is essentially a place where you can get a lot of sample case questions and see other people's answers to them. But I took a different route. I mainly looked at exponent.com, which is something that we're fortunately to have a free subscription to as Penn students.
I didn't know this.
And it's essentially just a product management prep academy where you can watch a bunch of videos going through every single type of product management interview question. You can also see a lot of mock interviews with people. So there's nothing inherent to Exponent. I think it just had a very good platform where you could see everything all at once. And I didn't really have to go through like 10 different resources to figure out how to do a PM interview. I could see everything in just one place, which is also kind of what Databricks does. You don't have to go through like 10 different applications. Everything's just in one place. So it was more of for the simplicity. That's why I'd recommend Exponent. But if you don't have a free subscription, I just recommend watching mock interviews to see what you're supposed to do and then doing as many practice interviews as possible. Because you can always read up more on how to do an interview, but it's very different from actually executing it. So just practicing as much as possible.
And now that I'm like listening to you talk about this, like, do you think the preparation process is similar to consulting? Because it seems like, but like I guess a bit more technical and less businessy. Is that a good analogy?
A lot of people say that a PM case is very similar to a consulting case, but I think the type of problems that you're asked are quite different. So in a PM case, you're typically asked to design a feature to solve some sort of problem, whereas in consulting, I believe, is just a general business problem. Like, let's say this company is struggling with X issue, how would you go about solving it? Less so on the application or technology.
Oh, so it's more like a system design interview? Similar?
More so system design, but not as technical. So I guess the typical example is design a fire alarm for the deaf. How would you do that? Yeah.
Make it visual, make it vibrate.
Yeah, you could say something like that. And typically what they like to see is a very concrete solution. So you have to describe it vividly, and you have to show that you've thought about a bunch of problems with the potential feature that you chose, and also have solutions to those problems.
Okay, so you talk about the problems, you talk about the features, and you talk about the solutions.
And then like some drawbacks with the feature that you came up with and how you can address those drawbacks in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a pretty thought out, well-rounded process.
Okay, that's good. Next slide. So I wanted to hear more about your product management experience at Databricks. You mentioned here that you worked on AI accelerated Delta. What is that? And like, I know that you can't share much due to like IP reasons.
Yeah.
But like share as much as you can.
Okay, so Delta is one part of Databricks. It is a storage format that they use, and my goal was to use AI to optimize the storage format, if that makes sense. So I guess one example of this is that a lot of people have like loads of data stored as Delta tables, which is what Databricks calls tables stored in their format. And one way to optimize these tables is by, I guess, deleting data or deleting tables or cells that aren't really used for a long time. So if Databricks thinks that this file is not needed anymore, then they'll just delete it for the user instead of having the user do it manually. But this is not to say they're just going to delete your data without permission.
Yeah.
I think it's more so when a user deletes data, the underlying files don't actually get deleted. They just get marked for deletion. So one thing that Databricks does is they use AI to delete those files that are marked for deletion as soon as possible, such
Okay.
that it frees up space. And also there's different ways you can optimize how you actually store the data. So what data goes into what specific files in order to minimize file sizes. And that's a big part of what the team does as well.
So you
It's a
mentioned,
little bit confusing, but
like you mentioned, like this Delta doc. Is that like a Google doc, like a Word document, or like a Google Drive folder? Like, what's like the closest analogy that you would have?
analogy to a delta table, I think you can think of it as like an Excel table. So in Excel, it's very simple. You have a header with all the column names, and then
Yeah.
in each column you have all the data associated with the header. So I guess it's similar to that. It's just a way to store your data.
So is it structured or unstructured?
Yeah.
Structured
So
then?
it's for delta tables. It's mostly structured. There's a schema involved, but
Okay.
Databricks also supports storing of unstructured data.
Okay.
But that's like a different format that they use called like volumes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I guess like I'm just guessing like the project would be like, hey, we want you to improve our Delta tables and use AI to work on it, and then you would just coordinate between the different teams.
Yeah,
And
I would.
just,
Yeah. So the coordination happens after the idea. So I'd come up
Okay.
with an idea to fix a problem that customers have, and then I'd work with engineering teams to build that idea out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Next slide. And then now I want to hear about your thoughts on like the big data world as a whole, because I think, at least like for me and like maybe a lot of viewers, like we don't know much about it, and it seems like every single big data company does the same exact thing of like, hey, we just take your data and give you a solution about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on like this industry, and I guess like why would someone choose Databricks over like other companies? Just like anything on that front.
Got you. So I'm sure we all know that the big data space is becoming increasingly more important as AI is expanding and models like GPT, Mistral, and what's the Chinese one again? DeepSeek. Oh my God, DeepSeek are coming out. So I think the key goal for companies is to store a lot of data, store it fast, and also process it fast, and turn that data into AI applications or AI solutions that are tailored to their customers.
So it's all about AI right now. AI plus big data
AI and
integration.
data is key. And I think people have known that for a long time now. But that's what will ultimately give you the edge. Because if you think about why TikTok is so successful, it's because they've mastered the algorithm. They understand what people like, and they have an AI model that can give you personalized recommendations. And they do it the best, which is why they're winning the social media race right now, or the short form content race right
Gotcha.
now. So, I mean, if companies right now aren't using AI and big data, then they're at risk of becoming obsolete, in my opinion, because while their competitors are all doing that, if your company isn't, then that means you're falling behind. You're not understanding your customers as well as your competitors are. So I guess it's happening already, but in the future, every company is going to be an AI and data company. Every company needs to store big data. Every company needs to run AI workloads. So in terms of companies like Databricks, Snowflake, and BigQuery, and all of these companies that are developing AI platforms, I think the one that wins is the one that provides an all-in-one solution where you can not only store data, stream data, process data, but also allow customers to deploy AI applications with the data directly. And that's why I think Databricks is ultimately so successful, because they're a unified platform where their customers can do everything data and AI related.
Okay, so like when you say all in one, like could some examples be like, hey, I'm Walmart and I want to know my customers better. I want to sell products better. I want to like figure out maybe like warehouse issues, supply chain issues,
Yeah.
like distribution. I don't know, like delivery networks. Like what's like can it do all types of data? Would you say?
Yeah.
Even like I want to find the fastest route of like sending a bunch of these trucks to this other Walmart and like figuring that entire like scheduling system. Can you do that as well?
Well, when you say all types of data, I think that's what will make a good like data and AI company. If a company can support the storing of any types of data, regardless of what format's in, then I think they have an advantage. And that's one thing that Databricks is really working on with what they have called Unity Catalog. Catalog is just like a catalog for all your data. So one positive benefit of Unity Catalog is that it has AI integrated within it. So it understands your data. So you can ask questions to it like, oh, let's say I want to find this data set on my supply chain. Can you tell me what file to look into? And then it will tell you that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I think on a related note, a big thing about, or a big factor in determining who's going to win this race is who makes the application simple. Because with AI, there's a level of abstraction. So in the past, people had to understand coding principles very well in order to build an application, but now less experienced people can do the same thing by just asking questions to ChatGPT and getting an output, and using that output to build an application or to write code. And that's like essentially a layer of abstraction, because now all you need to know is how to describe an application in order to build one. So in a similar vein, now people don't have to understand how to store data and process anymore if they're able to just
retrieve it, put it in.
Yeah, if they're able to just like do something simple like, okay, here's my data source, and then I'm gonna tell Databricks what this data source is, and then Databricks handles all of the streaming, ingestion, and processing. Then that'll make the process a lot more simple, and people don't have to build like concrete or super difficult data engineering solutions. It's just all handled for them. So simplicity is a huge thing in this whole big data and AI race.
Gotcha.
Well.
And do you think like in the future, like maybe you don't need to study computer science as much to like do Databricks or like do like bigger data things? Like do you think the hard skills would become obsolete, or do you think people still should study data and like data science and computer science?
I think people still should study data, AI, and CS. I know there's a trend going on where people think that CS isn't worth studying anymore because it's so hard to get a job. But I think with increasing complexity of AI and technology, it's even more important that we have people who understand it well to get us to the next level of innovation. And I think a lot of people were saying similar things in the past where computers were invented, where we wouldn't need people, like we wouldn't need certain professions anymore because a computer can replace anyone. But we still see that jobs have increased since then. So I think that there is a concern for a lot of repetitive jobs getting replaced, but for coders at least, you'll still need people to understand the underlying AI technology in order to build upon it. So I think what each software engineer or what each AI engineer does might change over time, but the underlying need for it will still exist.
Gotcha. And then also I was wondering, this is the second question, but if you could build a startup, any startup, what would your idea be, and like what would it be doing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the honest answer is if I had a really good idea, maybe I'd already be building it. But I guess one thing that I've been thinking about is it's for dance, actually. So one annoying thing that I found is when I'm making dance reference videos for people, it's often hard to tell everyone like where they're supposed to go in the formation and what moves people are supposed to do at different times. So I'd want to build some sort of application where I could upload myself doing every person's part, and then it would use AI to combine it all into one video where there's like 8 copies of me doing the dance together, and they can see it like full out, with everyone doing something different, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So like it would like recognize the environment that you're in, and it also recognizes like the timestamps of like each video and like put it all together into like one, almost like a 3D video, and you could like
a
zoom
3D
in
video
out,
with
go around
multiple copies of me doing different dance moves at the same time. Because sometimes like in a segment of a song, I'll have one group doing one thing, and then I'll have another group doing another thing. But I want to show that together. So it'd be cool if I could have like 4 copies of me doing one thing, 4 copies of me doing another thing. So when I send out the video, it'll make a lot more sense. That's just a very small thing. I don't think it'd be a startup. It'd be just a cool idea to try to execute. It could be something, powered by Databricks. It could be.
Yeah, I'd be like, send me a bunch of your video clips, and then we'll I don't know, combine it all together and send you back like the fully combined version, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And that takes us to our last slide. Closing thoughts. Do you have like any advice to someone watching this video? And it could be about career, life, college, education, or like maybe like being Asian American, like this is like you could talk about anything. What's like your general advice to someone watching this?
I think the biggest thing is to try as much as possible when you're young. Be young. Start something new. So that's what I did with dance, and since then it's been such a essential part of my college experience. Another thing is, don't just fall into the trap of doing what other people are doing. I think we have this internal bias where if we see people chasing this one thing, we feel tempted to chase it as well because we see it as more valuable. But I think that's a mistake that too many people make, especially at the school where we see people applying for banking jobs. So as a result, we want to apply for a banking job, and before we know it, we're working 100-hour work weeks in a job we absolutely hate. So just honestly follow your own path. I'd say do what Kai's doing. Do what you love, find out what you love, and try to make the most of it. And don't just copy others, and don't just chase things meaninglessly just because other people are chasing them. Just like craft your own path and don't look back.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you're doing that right now, or do you think you're being very authentic to yourself?
I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if I didn't have to have a job and I could just work on my own projects, I'd be doing that fully. But part of me is doing Databricks and becoming a PM because it's also a good way to build my career and make money while also doing something I love, obviously. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I'd say I'm more towards doing what I want than not doing what I want. But I think in the future, what I get out of life and what I want out of life could very much change. Yeah.
And are there like any other like resources that you would recommend people to like read up on? It could be about career, it could be about like just interesting books that you've read or interesting YouTubers that you like watching, anything that could like provide some educational aspects to the viewers.
Yeah, I think two of my favorite books from the past year have been, I guess, The Lean Startup, if you're interested in how to build a startup and how startups work.
I should, yeah.
It goes through a lot of the fundamentals, and it's a pretty easy read as well. It's not super technical and information heavy. And then one book that I also really enjoyed is The Creative Act, which is supposed to teach you how to become more creative. And the way it's written feels very poetic, so it's a very entertaining read at the same time. I felt like my eyes opened from it. So those two. Oh, and then another one is there's this article called The Case Against Travel from The Atlantic, and it's essentially an argument on why people shouldn't travel. I don't fully agree with it.
Is that satire? That's kind of crazy.
I don't think it's fully satire. In the end, it kind of seems like satire because it makes a bunch of very extreme assertions, but I do recommend that people just read it. Not necessarily because I think the arguments are true. I just think it provides a different perspective.
Wait, like why you shouldn't travel, or like why like the travel industry should not exist?
Why people generally just shouldn't travel? Because the author claims that people are traveling for the wrong reasons, and they end up affecting the place they go to more than the place ends up affecting them. Oh. Yeah, that's like one argument the author makes. The author talks about a lot about how like people just go for show, and they want like interesting things to tell other people, but they're not really immersed in wherever they're going. They're not really extracting value from wherever they're going.
I mean, I guess in other words, it's just like a paper on like how to live a more authentic.
Or essentially, you can think of it as like, right? Here's how most people travel. Here's why you shouldn't travel this way, and instead you should focus more on learning, immersion, things like that. That's how I took it.
That was a clickbaity title. If I just heard it like
no, exactly. It's more of a clickbaity thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So follow your dreams. Do what you like. Don't compare yourself to other people, or just be true to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, that's all. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna end the video now.
Great.
All right, cool. Awesome. Oh, wait.